started. And generally, there'll be a few people come in, which is fine. This is great. There'll be a few that usually make it in. So, anyway, my name is Rob Cadillo, and I'll be your trainer today. And what we're going to do today is learn about taking care of your spa water. All right, that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to learn about really two parts of the water. We're going to learn about the actual balancing of the water and what goes into doing that. And then we're going to talk as well about the sanitizer. Okay, so when I mean sanitizer, I'm talking about keeping it clean. Because really it's two separate things. You've got the actual chemical makeup of the water, that we'll work on. And then we're going to talk about the cleanliness and keeping it in good shape, all right? So those are the two conversations that we're going to have. And so, but I like to divide it into two separate parts, and so, but as one group. But what we'll do first of all is we're going to look at the testing of the water. We're going to look at that, and we're going to look at each of those items that show up on a test strip, all right? And then you're going to learn about the differences and why you go through and make those adjustments. So a lot of what you're going to get today from me is going to be the reasons behind it. And I think that's the biggest thing I can do to help you. If you understand what goes into it and how making these adjustments really affect your hot tub, you'll have a better handle on taking care of it. So I like to kind of think about taking care of your hot tub as you would anything else you own, your car, for example, or your home. But the better job you do of maintaining your vehicle, your car, the longer it's going to last for you. And your hot tub is very much the same way. And the one thing that affects how long your hot tub is going to perform for you is the actual balancing or pH of the water. That's the biggest thing you can do, all right? Think about balancing water just as you would changing the oil in your car. You change your oil in your car on a regular schedule because that's going to help your motor last longer, right? You do that, your engine's going to work better, it'll last longer. If you don't, it'll end up smoking, eventually end up failing. And in a hot tub, the pH of the water, which is what we're going to be spending some time talking about, that pH of the water is the key to longevity of your spa, balancing that, okay? So pH is how acidic or how basic the water is. And I'm not a chemist, all right? And I'm not going to teach you to be a chemist today, but you're going to learn the principles of it, and it's going to become very easy for you, all right? So it's going to be easy. So, but to start off with, what we're going to talk about first is the actual testing of the water. That's what we're going to focus on first. And people ask me a lot, well, Rob, how often should I test that water? Should I do it twice a week? Should I do it once a week? Should I do it 3 times a week? I mean, what's the schedule? How should we do this? Well, first of all, I guess really the first thing I should let you know is there are hundreds of test kits available for a hot tub or a pool. Hundreds of them. And so the first thing you're going to be faced with, if this is new, and I'm going to treat this whole group as it's brand new, all right? This is a fresh, you don't know anything at all, although you do, but we'll just pretend you don't know anything, all right? So it's brand new, and the first thing you're faced with is picking a test kit to test the water. And there are liquid kits, all right? And this is a liquid test kit, and it'll have little vials of fluid, and it'll have a little glass thing you fill up with water, and you fill this up with water, and you put the drops in there, and it changes color, right? And then you compare that to a chart, and it gives you a reading, all right? So that's one type of kit. This kit is it's been around the longest. It's a good kit. It's fine. It's just, so the positive things about it would be that it's accuracy, very accurate, and very accurate because when you add the drops of liquid to the water, you get a very large block of color. And so it's very easy to determine what that color is. Does that make sense? Big block of color, easy to figure out. The downside of it is only that it's cumbersome, it's big, you have to get the kit out and do all the water thing, so it takes a little bit longer. Plus, in doing this kit, you're testing separate things separately. You're testing the hardness, you're testing the pH, you're doing all those things separately. But this is a good kit, all right? I'm just helping you understand what the differences are. So why would people use this? Because it works, it's good, it's fine. So if you like that, like a scientist, you'll love this kit, all right? So at any rate, so that is one of them. And then there's another one here that's a test strip style. And if you go to our shelf over there, there's probably 20 or 30 different kits like that. So you're like, what the heck do I do? There's some that are for chlorine. There's some that are for bromine. There are some that do both, like this one. There's some that do a few things that might have a simplified version of it. So anyway, truth of it is you're faced with a lot of choices here. This is one I favor. It's called the Select Test Kit, and this is not a sales class, so I promise you I'm not going to sell you anything today. I'm just going to teach you things. So when I'm showing you stuff here, I am not trying to sell you anything, all right? This is a kit that I like to use simply because it tests all of the things that we need it to test at once. That's why I use it, all right? But this is no better, to tell you, this is not a better kit than the liquid one I showed you. And this is not a better kit than one that only has 3 or 4. It's going to be the same. It's just to test everything at once, and so that's why I like it, all right? This kit, if you get it at some point, it has then later a refill that you get, and you don't have to spend the money for this plastic part that's attached to it, all right? So at any rate, this is one that I like. Now, the downside of it is that sometimes when you test that water and you look at it, those blocks, because they're smaller, it's kind of hard to tell exactly what color it is. But this whole process of balancing water is not an exact science, because the amount of water in your hot tub varies. It varies, right? It'll have a fill level, but then evaporation happens and you'll have to add water to it, and sometimes you overfill it. I mean, so it's not an exact science, but what you're doing is you're balancing it close to within a range. Does that make sense? You know, within a range. So this is a good kit, and I kind of favor it. Another kit that is out there is a digital test kit. And I'll tell you, this was introduced probably 5 years ago now. At any rate, when we brought this in, I was very excited about it. I said, fantastic, because I like everything digital, right? My clocks are digital, everything's digital. Phones are digital, right? At any rate, and in my brain, I thought that this kit was going to be something that had a probe, and you would stick it in the water and pull it out, and it would tell you what to do. That's not what this is at all. This has a little test strip on the back side of it, and you put that test strip in the water, and then you take it out, and you stick it in here, and it's a reader. That's what this does. This reads the color optically. It's an optical reader. So the kit works fine. If you have trouble distinguishing color, you know, if it's hard to tell what color it is, this is going to do it for you. And it gives you the answer in a numeric value, all right? So those are the different kits out there. I would say to you, when you pick a kit, pick one that you like and stay with it. Just pick it, but it doesn't matter. There's not a good, better, best when it comes to test kits, all right? I favor this only because it's easy and I can test everything at once. But there's the liquid kit is spot on great. So it's just whatever you like is fine. So in testing it, what we're going to do is kind of give you the order of what to test things in. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about that shows up on a test strip is called alkalinity. So that's the first thing we're going to talk about. Alkalinity, when you think of alkalinity, think of it as the foundation for your pH, because that's really what it is. Your alkalinity is that foundation. And if you have a strong foundation in your water for the pH, then your pH is going to be more consistent. Okay? Your pH is going to be more consistent. The whole goal in your balancing of the water is to balance the pH. That's your goal. You want that pH, when you do a test of it, to be in that normal range, in that okay range. That's the whole goal of everything, all right? But in doing that, having a good foundation for the pH is going to help it stay in that okay range longer and most of the time, okay? So the product that you'll use to adjust that, there's a product called Alkalinity Plus, all right? Alkalinity Plus, or there's another one on the shelf called Alkalinity Increaser. So either one of those is a product designed to raise the alkalinity. And you would only do that, of course, if your alkalinity is low. So if you have low alkalinity, you will use Alkalinity Plus or Alkalinity Increaser to raise it. Okay? That's what you use. So the product that you use to lower alkalinity, this is the only thing I'm going to tell you that's weird. All right? So when I tell you this, this is one of these things you have to remember. But the product that you use to lower alkalinity is a pH reducer, pH minus. So if there's one little weird thing you have to remember today, that's it, is that you'll use a pH minus product to lower the alkalinity. Now, does anyone here own a swimming pool? Show of hands, own a swimming pool. All right, pool owners, you know that in your swimming pool, you can use muriatic acid to lower alkalinity. I say that to you because I do not want you to put that in your spa. Do not put it in your hot tub. I promise I will not put muriatic acid in my hot tub. Yeah, you don't want to. It's much too harsh for your spa. Your pool will have 10 or 20,000 gallons of water in it. Okay? So when you add a gallon to 10,000 gallons, it doesn't matter. It doesn't care. It's okay. But it's much too aggressive for a spa. So you're going to use a nice, easy product like this, pH minus, to lower that alkalinity. All right. Now, a very common question, and I'm just going to bring it up, is what comes in my kit? I bought a hot tub from you guys, and what do I get? What's in there? A ton of stuff. Yeah, right. Things I'll never use. Yeah. Yes. You'll test the water at least weekly, and then once you make an adjustment, then do it the following day again. So at least weekly, and then the following day.
Second way of question, supposing my pH to good.
Yeah.
Should mostly stay there, or probably just every couple of days, maybe once a week, maybe twice? I know there's some variation.
Yeah, that's a great question. So what the question was two things. One, how often should I test my water? All right, which I encourage you to do it weekly. And then, of course, if you have any change to make to it, then go ahead and make that adjustment and then check it the next day. And then the second question was about pH. Once you get the pH adjusted, which we're headed there in just a minute. We haven't gotten to that far yet. However, when you adjust pH, it generally will stay there if your alkalinity is in the okay. So far, the only thing we've addressed on a test strip is alkalinity. That's the only thing we've got far yet. So we haven't gotten yet to pH, but when we do that, it's going to be something that it should stay there. The thing about it is that we affect the pH of the water. We do. People getting in the spa will change the pH of the water. And each of us is a little bit different. All right? We're all a little bit different. There have been fragrances out there that react differently to your body chemistry to make you smell different. So, but it's the truth of it is that we have different effects on that. So that question is difficult about how often or will my pH stay there, because it might stay and you may not have to adjust it again for a week or two at a time. And then otherwise it might be something that you have to do more frequently. So, but I wanted to address the kit because right now the only thing we've talked about on a test strip is alkalinity. But the reason I bring that up is that alkalinity products they're not in your kit. There is not an alkalinity increaser in your kit. So the question, well, why, Rob? Why is not there an alkalinity thing? Well, because it's not always something that you're going to need. You may not need it, all right? So in balancing or testing your water, the pH products are in your kit. You're going to have a pH increaser and a pH decreaser, all right? But the alkalinity is an unknown thing. We don't send acid out, the muriatic acid or anything like that with the pool, and we don't send any alkalinity product out either. So those are things you may or may not need. You don't know that until you do a test of your water, okay? All right, just wanted to tell you that. So the first thing you test on a test strip is alkalinity. And the easy way to remember it is that alkalinity starts with the letter A. It's the only thing on your test strip that starts with the letter A. It's simple. It's easy. So you look at your test strip, the letter A, the first letter of the alphabet, you test that, and it's alkalinity. You look at that. And you may or may not need to adjust it. So once you add product to the water, just wait until the following day to test it again. Now, on the back of all these products, they're going to tell you to do a retest in 2 hours or 4 hours. What they're talking about, that's the minimal time frame that it takes that water to recognize what you've done to it. All right, that's the minimum time frame. But the truth of it is, the water that you put in your hot tub is generally the same water that you're drinking, same water that you're showering in, same water that you're cooking with, all of those things. It's the same water. So is that water fine? Yes. It's absolutely fine. And leaving that water in your spa, okay, for a day or two or even a week until you get it balanced, it's not going to hurt anything, all right? If you were to leave that water in your hot tub without balancing the pH of that, that's when it's going to start to affect your equipment. So when the pH is either way too high or way too low, it will cause the rubbers of the gaskets and the seals to start to become hard and brittle, and that's how it affects your plumbing and those things. So that's the reason why you go ahead and you make that adjustment. So the first thing is alkalinity. So if you need to adjust it, you alkalinity increaser to raise it up. If you need to lower it, you add a pH minus to lower it down. Okay? So once you've done the alkalinity, the next thing you're going to look at is the pH. The next thing you look at is pH. Now, frequently, when you adjust the alkalinity, it's very common for that pH also to move that same direction. Let me say that again. When you adjust your alkalinity, it's very common for that pH to follow. So let's pretend for just a minute that you tested your water and you found that the alkalinity was low. Just hypothetically. Say it was low. So you add alkalinity and then you check it the next day. And you do a test of it. More than likely, the alkalinity came up, and more than likely the pH came up also. Hence the reason why you don't want to do 2 adjustments on the pH at once. Okay? That's why you don't make 2 adjustments at once. Because if you were to add your alkalinity because it said it was low, and then also added your pH product because it said it was low, you probably the next day would find that your alkalinity is okay, and your pH is now too high. All right? So you're only going to do, when it comes to pH, you're only going to do that 1 product at a time. The other products we're going to talk about later, you can add those at the same time. It doesn't care. All right? But when it comes to pH, only add 1 product at a time. So alkalinity is the first thing. You take a look at it. You get it balanced. The second thing you're going to look at is pH. Am I putting you to sleep? I'm sorry. I know. It is horrible boring. It's going to get more fun here at the end. Okay, but right now it's horrible boring. I know. So the next thing you look at is pH. And you adjust the pH with either a pH a plus product, pH plus, or that pH minus. All right, pH minus. Those are the products you're going to use for the pH. So we're almost done with this part. First thing you do is alkalinity. Second thing you do is pH. That was the whole goal in the first place, is to get the pH fixed. All right, that's the goal. The next thing you look at on the test strip is the hardness. Now, I have done this for 15 years. And in 15 years, I have probably tested, I don't even know how many thousands of water samples. Thousands. And of those thousands of samples that I have tested, virtually all of them have tested okay with hardness. Yet, out of the thousands of people that I talk with, everyone is of the opinion that they have hard water. Everyone. My God, my water's so hard. It's just hard water. It is. You wouldn't believe how hard my water is. Well, truth of it is this, and this is what you may or may not know. Water is naturally has calcium in it. It does. So yes, all water is going to have calcium in it. And the thing to know is that your water needs that calcium in it. If your water didn't have any calcium in it, then that water would be very corrosive to your hot tub. It would be. It would cause etching. It would cause gritting. It's bad. So you want that calcium that's necessary to be okay. Water is a universal solvent. So it's going to absorb and bring on calcium. That's why you don't want to have not any in it, because if it's low on calcium, then it's going to search for calcium, which is not there in a hot tub. It's in the ground, but it's not in the hot tub. All right? So it'll search for that calcium, which it's not going to find. And that's why it's corrosive to your equipment. But don't be startled by anything I've just told you. Because remember, I also said, to start off with, that of the thousands of samples, they're all going to test okay. Your water is going to be okay. Now, here's the thing that you are familiar with and that you know. Calcium in your hot tub eventually comes out to build up scale. All right, you're familiar with that. I've got a golden retriever, and her water bowl that she has a water line, water ring around it. All right. My shower downstairs, the mirror down there has water spots all over it. All of those things are calcium. When water dries, it leaves behind calcium. Your hot tub is the same way. So what you'll want to do is test that water treat that water for the necessary calcium that's in your water. You treat for it. All right? And the product that you're going to treat for it, and I'm going to do at the end here, we're going to get a recap. So don't feel like he said it once and that's all there is, because this is not the case at all. Once we're done, I'm going to give you a recap, and it's going to say step by step, here's how I take care of my hot tub. We're just talking right now, back and forth. We're just talking about all the little things, and then we're going to summarize and put it together at the end. All right? So there's a product that you'll want to treat the spa for weekly, and that's a scale preventer. Okay? Now, this scale preventer, notice it says preventer, scale preventer. It's not a calcium remover. It's a scale preventer. And what that means is that when this product is in the water, it mixes with the calcium, the necessary calcium in the water, and keeps it from bonding together and creating grit and scale in your hot tub. And I promise you, if you don't treat your spa for it, your spa will start to build up a grit. And you will wonder, what is that? Why is this side of my hot tub getting all rough? It's calcium. That's what happens. So you treat for it. You be proactive with it. And you treat for it weekly. And you add about a half-inch line of this a week. Just pour a little bit in. That's all you have to do. And next week, pour a little bit in. That's all you have to do. And that's going to bond with that calcium to help keep it from building up that scale and grit that's inevitable if you don't do it. All right? Now, we carry three brands actually, but a couple of brands of products. One of them is made by the company called Leisure Time. And Leisure Time is the Campbell's Soup brand of spa chemicals. So if you're that person that when you're shopping the aisles at the grocery store and you only buy Campbell's Soup because it's the best and I like the red and white cans, then you want to buy Leisure Time, and we have it on the shelf over there. If you don't care that all the products are red and white on the labels, if you're okay with that, all right, then buy our brand, Swimway. It's a Watson's brand, and their names are real simple. Scale Preventer, all right? This product is the same as this product here. It's just not pretty green, all right? It's our brand, and it costs less money. So that's what I have to say about that. So we've talked about alkalinity, and that's the first thing you're going to test for. We've talked about pH and said that the pH is really the goal of that water balancing in the first place, right? That's the goal of it. We've talked about hardness now, and depending on the test strip that you have, some of the test strips call hardness calcium. So it could read, if your test strip brand might say calcium, it might say hardness, it doesn't matter. Either one of those things are the same, it's the same thing, okay? And that more than likely it's going to test okay. If you truly need calcium, we sell it on the shelf over there. We sell bottled calcium just for your hot tub, all right? But we don't sell very much of it. But it's there in case you need it, all right? Okay. The next thing I'm going to talk about on the test strip that shows up, and it's a product that's not on all test strips, but it's something called cyanuric acid. Okay, cyanuric acid. That's one term for it. That's the chemical name of it. Another name of that product is called conditioner. Okay, cyanuric acid and conditioner are the same thing. Or a final term that I'm going to bring up to you is stabilizer. So if you buy test strips, and if that test strip says cyanuric acid, stabilizer, or conditioner, ignore all of them. You don't care, all right? Because what that is, in a swimming pool, that's something that keeps your sanitizer from getting burned up by the sun. Most test strips that you buy for a hot tub are designed for pool and spa. They're designed for pool and spa, so they're going to have that feature on them to make them work in both applications. So it's a very common phone call that I take. What do I need to put in for that? So I'm just letting you know, nothing. You don't care, all right? What it does is it provides a protective shield over your sanitizer so that when the sun is beating down, it doesn't burn your sanitizer up too quick. That's what it does. And in a hot tub, you don't care because you're not generally out there in the heat of the day and you don't have it uncovered all the time. Okay, your cover's on your hot tub, and that's just how you do it. So that one you can skip. All right, and that's going to lead me now to our next part. So we've talked about alkalinity and how that's the first thing to look at. You may or may not need to add product to it. Alkalinity, there's an alkalinity increaser if you need to. If you wanted to lower alkalinity, does anyone remember? If you lower alkalinity, anyone remember? pH minus. Good for you. That's awesome. pH minus. That's the only weird thing, right? Weird thing. And then from there, then you look at the pH itself, and there's a pH increaser or a pH minus to adjust that. Or you may not have to do anything because fixing that alkalinity may have taken care of it. All right? You look at hardness, but many, I didn't tell you this, many test strips over there don't even have it on there. Many test strips don't even have the hardness on it because it is generally okay. But my recommendation to you is to treat for it anyway. And that's to use a scale preventer, right, to keep it from building a grit up. And what happens is it builds that grit, and then also, you know where that rubber seal is in your pump that's moving your water? If a little bit of grain of that starts to build up on that, then that's what causes that seal to leak. And when the seal leaks, then you got to replace your motor. And those are not cheap. Those are expensive. I just had my wife's car worked on this weekend. Gosh, it's crazy. Everything's $500. It doesn't matter what you do. It's $500. You have your car worked on? Sure, that's $500. Anyway, so the last thing I want to talk about before we move to the second part has to do with the metals in the water. Metals or minerals in the water, okay? And there's a product that we recommend you add to the water to help prevent the metals from staining your spa. And what metals I'm talking about copper, magnesium, iron, those metals. So the easy product to add to that, this one's called Metal Gone. There's another one that's in your kit called Metal Remover. It's a product we recommend you adding when you fill your hot tub up. Adding that to it, and what it does is simply bonds with the copper, magnesium, iron, all those metals that are in there, and it kind of, I don't like the word coagulate, but it catches those products and puts them in your filter. And then after a couple of days, take your filter out and hose it off just to rinse it. Okay, and that's what you do. So
you just add it the one time?
Add it the one time. Yeah, great question. Question was, that metal remover, how often do I add it? What should I do? Really, just putting it in when you first do a fill of your water is fine. Now, knowing that eventually your evaporation and stuff, you have to top it off, but you're really not adding enough to matter, so it's okay. So the other thing that, why you said that I'll talk about is how often you do a drain and refill. And that is really part of our next conversation, probably at least twice a year. I would change your water at least twice a year. If you're in that hot tub a lot and you're using it a lot, when I say a lot, I'm like every day. Okay, if you're doing that, you probably want to do it twice as often, probably 4 times a year. Okay, and the reason why you change that water out is because you are adding product to the water on a frequent 2 or 3 times a week basis. You'll see that at the end when we do a recap. You're going to be adding product to that. And so over time, your spa builds up dissolved solids because evaporation leaves things behind, right? And so eventually it just becomes harder for it to adjust the water. Your pH might get a little harder to stay in the right place. So eventually it's, who cares? Just drain that darn thing down and fill it back up again. It's just as easy, okay? So, but that's going to take me to what I think strongly that this is the most important thing I can teach you. All right, this next conversation, all of that we talked about at the beginning, you could have totally done without me or anyone. Your test strip tells you that, okay? But it's understanding this next part that is going to make you a rock star at home. I promise you that most of the questions, if you're not a rock star now, we'll make you a rock star at your house, all right? Because most of the questions that I field or that we answer about taking care of a hot tub have to do with sanitizers. All right? So this is going to be real exciting. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about chlorine first of all, but chemically chlorine and bromine are very, very similar. So I'm going to teach you the life cycle of chlorine. And when you understand this, it will make this whole process of spa maintenance seem simple. All right? So, chlorine, first of all, comes in a number of forms. Chlorine is available in a liquid form. Okay? We have had it before in gallon jugs, and it's labeled on the outside of it, pool shock. So that's one type of chlorine. Another type of chlorine is a granular. And a granular chlorine is probably the most common and most used of the sanitizers in a hot tub. This is granular. And it dissolves, when you put it in water, it's very quick dissolving. It dissolves instantly, and suddenly you have a big shot of chlorine in your water when you do that. So that's another type of chlorine. A third type of chlorine is going to be a tablet form. And tablet forms for pool, they're generally used in pools because it's hard to regulate the dissolve of a tablet in a hot tub. In a pool, you can more regulate that because the water's cold and you're dealing with a large body of water. So if it dissolves a little bit quicker, it doesn't have the impact as it does on a hot tub. Right? You generally do not use a floater with chlorine in your spa because you're going to end up with chlorine charts or levels off the chart. Okay, hard to regulate. But just to make you familiar with the different forms, so there's liquid, there's granular, and then there's tablet forms of chlorine. But truth of it is, all of them, once they've been dissolved in your water, all of them begin the same way. All of them begin as something called free chlorine. That's important. What I just said to you was very important. Free chlorine. Free chlorine is the chlorine that's available to sanitize and clean your spa. That's what's available. All right? So once that free chlorine is in your water, regardless of the form, who cares if it was liquid, granular, or tablet, but once it's in that water, floating around, as soon as it comes in contact with bacteria or organic waste in your water, it bonds to that. It kills the germs, but then it changes state chemically. It changes from something called free chlorine to combined chlorine. That's very important. This combined chlorine, all of us here are very familiar with because it's what generates that smell that we know of as chlorine. When that process happens in the water, and that free chlorine finds bacteria, leaves that fell in there, bugs that fell in there, people's sweat and all that stuff that's in that water. When that chlorine is sanitizing your water, is killing that bacteria, it's changing state to this combined chlorine, but in doing that, it's generating chloramines in the air. Chloramines. And chloramines are what you recognize as the smell of chlorine. When you walked into this store, when you have been, my son used to take diving at the Rexplex, and when we would go down there where those big pools are, beautiful place there. Anyway, when you go down there, you can really smell it. What you're smelling is that active cleaning process of that chlorine sanitizing that water, the combined chlorine. Now, problem is that combined chlorine has no value in your water anymore. None. This combined chlorine is the spent chlorine that has no value, no use. All it does is smell. And all it does is what people go, ooh, God, you smell the chlorine? Yeah, I don't like that. Do you like it? No. Nobody likes that. You shouldn't like it. All right? In fact, if your hot tub smells like chlorine, that's bad. It shouldn't. Your water should be bright and fresh and clear all the time, and that's what I'm going to teach you. And the way you do that is by doing a shock treatment on the water to get that combined chlorine, all right, that organic waste out of the water, to leave that water bright and fresh and clear. Now, here's the important thing to know. There are two ways to shock water. Two ways. One way is to increase the chlorine, the free chlorine content, very quick and very high, boom. And once that chlorine level gets high in the water, what happens is that high level of chlorine burns off that waste in the water. All right, that's one way to do it. I'm not recommending that. I'm just giving you information. All right, I'll teach you in the end here what we're doing. So that's one way to get rid of the waste out of the water. All right, is to hit it with, and that's why that you see those bottles of let's say pool shock on them. That's what it's for. Is pool owners will glug, 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 put that in their pool, and it brings your chlorine content up high, and it burns off and clears the water. Okay, that's what it does. But the trouble is, you can't get in your darn water right then. Well, yeah, you can't. You wouldn't want to. Your chlorine level is going to be way too high, so you don't get in the water. So that's not what I'm going to recommend you do. But it's one way when you hear the term shocking water, and when you see that jug that says pool shock on the side of it, now you know what it is. It's for spiking the chlorine level and getting rid of the waste out of the water. Now, the way that I'm going to encourage you to do it is real simple and real easy. But it's using another product. a product that simply attacks that combined waste in the water. And we cleverly named that product Non-Chlorine Shock. Riveting. These names that we come up with for these products, unbelievable. We spent a long time working on that, but we call it Non-Chlorine Shock. All right? This product simply focuses on that waste in the water and that combined chlorine. That's what it does. It focuses on that, and it oxidizes and gets that waste out of the water. And in doing that, that leaves your spa bright and fresh and clear. Right? Yes? That's a great question. Oh, what a great question. Can I answer that in just a minute? Hang on to that. Hang on to that. Okay? Yeah. So, this product here, you don't want to get into the water for 30 minutes after putting it in. You notice I haven't addressed that with anything before, right? I haven't said anything about that. But I'm going to say it now. Don't get in the water for 30 minutes. Also, when you do this, don't do any of your other products at this time. Let this one be on its own, do its thing for 30 minutes. Because if you get in the water, it's going to make you kind of itchy. Because it's going to try to get rid of the waste, and it thinks you are waste. All right? So that's why you don't do that. Okay. Now, the question that was just asked, and I'm glad it was, question was, how do I know when I should do this? Now, I think as a rule of thumb, I would do that weekly. All right? As a rule of thumb, I would generally do that weekly. But if you are that scientific person that loves to know the answers to it, all right, and you need it to know it within a fraction of an inch, here we have it right here. What this is that test kit that I showed you earlier today. This is the AquaSmart Select. It has 2 chlorine readings on it. One of them is the free chlorine. Free chlorine, you know, is what we've talked about now as what's available to sanitize and cleanse in your hot tub, right? Free chlorine is the good chlorine. It's the stuff that hasn't been used up yet. It's available to clean, all right? Now, it also has a chlorine reading that says total chlorine. Total chlorine is the combination of the free chlorine and the combined chlorine. So with those two, knowing those two things, if you put this test strip in the water and your total chlorine is higher than your free chlorine, then you know that you've got combined chlorine or waste in the water and you need to shop. Right? Or you could just do it once a week. But if you want to know that, this is it. That's what it'll do it for you. All right? That's awesome. Thank you. That's a great question. Okay. So, we've talked about how to balance the water. And really, balancing the water, getting that pH okay. When your pH is in that normal range, your sanitizer, it's going to work its very best. It's optimal best. Okay? And your equipment is going to last you the longest. That's why you do that balancing part. You're doing that to protect the investment of the thousands of dollars that you spent. I know you did. You spent thousands of dollars on your hot tub, so protecting it so it lasts longer is important. But then the second part of enjoying that spa is the actual spa experience, right? It's the experience. It's opening it up to nice fresh water. It's like if your house was all stinky because you cooked something gross in there. You know, no one wants to walk into that. Your hot tub the same way. When you open that up, you want bright, fresh, clear water. You want to be happy, excited to get in it, right? And by understanding your sanitizer, and this really is where I wanted to take you at, because a common question, and you notice I really haven't addressed how much to put in, because the bottle tells you on the back of it, depending on what's your volume of water. But this one I want to talk about. This is important. So the question you're going to have for me, or at some point, is going to be how much do I put in and how often? How much sanitizer, how much chlorine do I put in my hot tub, and how often? All right? Well, there's a couple of ways to do it. We're just learning together. You can go ahead and add product a couple of times a week or 3 times a week. When I say product, I'm talking about chlorine. You can add chlorine 2 or 3 times a week, maybe a couple of tablespoons at a time. So let's say you do that. Let's say you add chlorine to your water 2 tablespoons twice a week. We'll just say that, all right? But you find that when you do a test of it, that it doesn't show that you have any chlorine at all. The reason that it's not showing that you have any chlorine, even if you have just put it in. Let's say before you came here to this class, you put chlorine in your hot tub, and you came out here, and then you go home and you test it, and you see what that guy was talking about, and you don't have any chlorine in it. And you say, well, holy cow, I just put chlorine in there, and it's not working. Well, it is. What happens is that chlorine, remember, that free chlorine goes to work and starts killing the bacteria and waste product in that water, and so can literally dissolve very quickly. It can get used up very quickly. So if you're putting, say, 2 tablespoons twice a week, perhaps instead you need to put 2 tablespoons 3 times a week, or even 4 times a week. Or that's one way to do it, right? Another way to do it would be maybe you go 3 tablespoons twice a week, or 3 tablespoons 3 times a week. So here's the factor that I want you to think about. Let's say you have your hot tub, and you generally have 2 people that use it 3 times a week. Just hypothetical. All right, 2 people, 3 times a week. Let's say you have that same hot tub, but now you have 4 people 3 times a week. You're going to go through twice as much sanitizer to clean that water. It's a fact. The more bather load you have in your hot tub, the more product you're going to go through. The less bather load, the less product you're going to go through. But there still is a necessary amount that you put in to keep that spa clean. You're still going to have to put some in it. You can't just leave it, even though you've not been in it. It's eventually going to go south on you if you don't. So one of the ways that is very popular that many of my customers will do is that when you get out of the hot tub, adding a couple of tablespoons of chlorine to the water when you get out. And in fact, I do favor that. I think it's very smart. Leave the cover off for a little while, run the jets, because what you're doing is you're mixing that in there and leaving that chlorine to go ahead and clean that water that you just left behind. We always get out of a hot tub, no matter who you are, everyone, you get out cleaner than when you went in. You get out of your hot tub cleaner than when you went in. And you're going to leave product behind. Now, one of the things, yes?
There are 2 questions. One is, suppose we have 2 people, 7 days a week, 30 to 40 minutes every day. That would be putting chlorine 7 days a week then?
Could, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. The second one is following. So, roughly speaking, chlorine plus bacteria equals bond chlorine. Bonded chlorine plus shock equals dissipating the air. It's stuff that gets then.
It chemically is oxidized out of the water.
What does that mean? Does it mean it dissipates into the air? Does it mean
Into the air.
it's neutral? It doesn't get caught in the filter.
It does not get caught in the filter, right? You're getting it out of the water. Yeah. So great questions. So 2 questions was, is there really, and I think what I was hearing is, can I put too much in? Can I put too much sanitizer in my hot tub? Do I have to do it 7 days a week? I don't know. All right. But the truth of it is, no, you can't put too much in like that. I think it's smarter to put smaller amounts in more frequently. I would favor that as to a lot on the front side of it. So that's a great question. I think a smaller amount when you get out, put a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons in when you get out. I actually favor that if you have the time to let your spa breathe, because the other part of that question was, where does it go? Where does this go? Well, that's a great question because it goes through the air. So really, when you do, and thank you for asking that question, because when you do a shock on that water, either chlorine or non-chlorine, either one, you want to let your spa breathe while you're doing that. because if you don't, that is going to be counterproductive for your cover. If you do that and just throw your cover on, eventually that's going to be hard on that cover, all right? Because that gas, that off-gassing, is going to build up. So great question. Thank you for that. Another good question. The question, how long should I do that, Rob? I just got out of my hot tub. I put some product in. I would say 10 or 15 minutes. You know, it takes half an hour for it fully to complete. But I think truly, after about 15 minutes, you should be safe to go ahead and put that cover back on again. With the jets running. Another question, should I put the jets on high or low, or does it matter? Just on low speed. All you're wanting to do is circulate that water. Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So, good. Everyone's on the same page. I love it. All right? So what you've just learned is going to help you so much as far as taking care of the hot tub. Because it's so common. How often should I put it in? That how often is really, you will know that. Do I put it in every day? Do I have more people coming over? My swimming pool was a prime example of that. When my son had a party over the house, I knew that once they leave, that I need to put a product in there to keep that water clear. I don't. When you test my water, it's going to have very minimal product in it. I don't put much of anything in there. Spa the same way, but you want to just put a little bit in because you don't want the chemical smell of your hot tub. You don't want that. You want just enough to go ahead and keep it nice and bright and clear. So we're going to move into yes.
One more question. So if I put it in
Yes.
So what I could do is just put it in every time I get in because it's going to be open anyway.
You could. Yeah, if you put a small amount in, that's not going to hurt anything. Yeah, that's your rules. Yeah, good. His question was, would I be okay to put a small amount in before I get in the hot tub? Because it's going to dissolve pretty quickly, and a small amount is not going to hurt anything. Yeah, it's not going to bother you. Yeah, so, let's talk about a very common thing that happens in hot tubs, and that is foaming. All right? Foaming is a very common thing, and it's also a very difficult thing to identify. So we're going to talk about the different things that it can be. But knowing what it is in your hot tub could be any of these or all of them. All right? So one of the things in foaming can come simply from the body oils and things that we leave behind in the spa. All right? And when you add jet pressure and air to that, it can generate a foaming product. All right? So one of the things that I'm going to suggest that you do as a preventative is this product here called Spa Perfect. All right? Spa Perfect is a liquid product. It has enzymes in it, and those enzymes break down the oils that we leave behind in the spa. It breaks them down, and it's so that you help. It doesn't build up the water ring as much as it could. Okay, in there. And when I talk about water ring, I'm talking about that brown, scummy line that just happens in hot tubs. So this product will help with that. And this is something I would put in weekly that would help with it. I didn't say eliminate it, but I'm just saying it's going to help with that. So if the foaming is a result of the oils we leave behind, that will assist with it. Okay? Another thing that the foaming can be is swimwear or clothing that has a residual product in it, either shampoo or detergent or something. Foaming can be lotions from us on our skin. So again, it's very difficult to identify. But on swimwear, I would encourage you to identify swimwear for the spa and avoid, unless they're soiled, I would avoid laundering them in a detergent if you don't have to. I mean, if they're soiled, obviously take care of it. But the foaming can be, and I've got to tell you, the number of people that I've done wet tests on, sometimes as soon as those suits hit that water, I mean to tell you, it just takes off. That foam just almost immediately. And these high efficiency washers these days that just spritz your they spray your clothes with water, make them damp and clean them. I don't know. At any rate, I'm sure they're good, but that's what they do. So I think a lot of that product is a result of leaving behind. I had small boys putting beards on themselves. It was so bad in the foam. But at any rate, so with the spa, I would have this foam down available, or defoamer. I would have some available until you can identify what it is in your hot tub. And probably everyone here will have experienced it at some point or another. So the foam down is simply an agent, and I don't know what it does chemically to it, but I know it stops the foam. You can put a squirt in there and it'll go away almost immediately. So, but if you're doing that, it really shouldn't be on a regular basis. Yes?
You've been having a discussion for days. Is that foam in the hot tub, or is that just air bubbles from the jets?
It's air bubbles from the jets, but it's foam. It's foam.
Okay,
It's
so
created.
Any bubbles at all in foam?
No, when we do a fill,
The jets, if it's gone in 30 or 60 seconds, maybe it's just air bubbles from the jets.
we do a fresh fill in the hot tub, and we don't see any foaming at all until you start to introduce people to it. Fresh water without anyone in there, we don't get any foam on them at all. As soon as you introduce people, everything changes. Game changer. The only thing different, people. So, and most everyone has suits on, so I don't know what goes on at your house. It stays at your house at any rate. So, right. That's all I gotta say about that. But I just want to help you with that. So it's really tough to identify. The foam down product is good. But you're going to have it at some point. I would encourage everyone to use the Spa Perfect product, or also there's an enzyme. An enzyme is very similar to this. If I were to rank them though, Spa Perfect, hands down, is probably 3 times as effective as what the enzyme is. It's just a great product. That company has helped with ocean cleanup of oil spills and everything. I mean, they got their stuff together. And they make this product for the home and your hot tub. And a little bit, just a capful a week. I mean, you pay a little more for this product here, but long term, I think the benefits are well worth it. So, anyway, this is not selling you anything. No, I'm sorry. No, great question. Does it hurt you? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It just is obnoxious and embarrassing. And people are going like, what is that? Nothing? Squirt. Okay. Another product I brought out just to know about is Bright and Clear. It's a Band-Aid product. Use it if you need to. But if you're getting cloudy water and that type of thing, you probably just need to shock it. Okay? Let me go back and see what I said. So Bright and Clear is a water clarifier. But probably, let's go back to the root of the problem. If the water is cloudy, then it's probably cloudy from waste in the water. So putting a clarifier in is only going to collect all the waste and put it in your filter and get real nasty, which you can, but I would instead, it's not going to change it in the end. Instead, look at doing a shock of the water. You know, because a shock of the water, if you can do it one of 2 ways. And you know what? I need to make sure that everyone knows this. It's okay to do a chlorine shock of your water. I don't want to leave you with the opinion that you should not. Because sometimes, here's what's going to happen at some point. You're going to have people over, you're going to love life. In the morning, you're going to get up and you're going to go out and look at your hot tub, and it's going to be cloudy and smelly. And you're going to go, heck, dang, now what? Okay? What I would do when that happens to you, and it will happen to you, I would take and double or triple dose it with chlorine to shock the heck out of the darn thing and get that waste out of the water and put it back to square one again. Easy fix, all right? Double or triple dose it. That free chlorine will go in, kill the bacteria, get the waste out. If you do it high enough, like I said, triple dose it, then the free chlorine getting so high will burn the waste off, and you will be left with clear, sparkly water. The only trouble is you probably are not going to be soaking in the hot tub that next day because it's going to be have too much chlorine in it. All right, but it's okay. Probably by the next day, you should be in much better state and you should be back to okay. I'd probably that next day go ahead and hit it with a non-chlorine shock just to clean everything up and make sure everything's fine. And then go back and the lesson you learned is next time, don't go into bed, go out to your hot tub and hit it with chlorine before you go to bed. So, anyway, but it's going to happen. Okay, so I brought out, I was talking about that Spa Perfect product. Here's another one made by that same company, and it's called Purge. This is made by the natural chemistry company called Purge. And this is one that has only been out for probably 8 years now or so. It's a relatively new product on the front, but what it does is it's a good product to use before you do a drain and refill on your spa. And what you do with it is you take your filter out, or filters, out of the hot tub, and you pour the contents of this in the water. And then you let your spa run overnight. And then the next day, you do a drain of it. What this does, this is very similar to the Spa Perfect, except it's like super powered enzymes that will help clear the inside of the plumbing line. It will work to clean those inside lines. When this was introduced, the stuff that came out of hot tubs, no one ever knew, but it really does a good job. And I think, really, if you do that on a regular basis when you do a drain, your spa is always going to be awesome. It's like your plumbing lines at home. If you ever had to clean out the trap of your sink, you know what I'm talking about. Right. So that's what they look.
The procedure.
Yeah. So what you'll do with this is the day before you're going to drain your spa, you want to take out your filters. All right. So unscrew your filters, take them out of the hot tub, and then pour the contents of the Spa Purge in your spa. All right. And I would go ahead and turn the jets on. First, let it circulate for a little bit, and then you can turn them off. Your spa, once it's inside the plumbing, it's going to run automatically anyway and circulate. And so then the next day, maybe that next evening after you get home from work, then go ahead and drain the spa down, and you should be able to just to fill it back up and start over again. So you'll be fine. But that's all it is. It's a cleaner. So, okay? I brought a filter out only to remind me that people ask me, how often should I change my filters? And there's not really a schedule for that. I would say to you every 1 or 2 years, probably. If you're changing them more frequently than that, you can. But if you maintain your spa in such a way that you don't generally have to fix things, if your water stays relatively clear, then you should probably get a couple of years out of the filter. But if your spa goes through some trouble spots a lot, then you're probably going to have to change them at least once a year. Okay, so, and they're kind of expensive. I mean, they're like $50. I think this one's $35. Anyway, and then I also brought out a product here. This is Spazaz. It's a scent. And I only brought that out to remind me to tell you that it's okay to use these things in your spa. They won't hurt anything. They smell nice. And you might as well get the full experience of the spa. You can put these in and they smell good. Some of them tell you that they soothe your muscles and everything. I don't know about all that, but they do smell nice anyway. Yes?
On the filter, someone told me to spray off with a hose every once in a while. Do you recommend that?
I do, and thank you. I should have said that. Yeah, I think cleaning that filter every couple of weeks, or just looking at it anyway to see if it needs any attention, is smart. Yeah. If you get a filter code, or a flow code, then you really need to check the filter. Yeah. So if you get a code that says, basically what happens when you get a flow code is that the water is not drawn through the heater quick enough, and so the water inside the heater gets so hot that it tells them that something's wrong, and so it shuts off. Your spa is not broken when that happens. Everything is fine. It's just a preventative. It's kind of like a GFI tripping. It tells you there's something wrong and that you need to take a look at it. So generally, you can get that fixed easily. If that ever happens to you, I'd probably, instead of panicking, just go take the filters out of your hot tub and then soak them or buy new filters at that point. You know, you should be fine. I did not talk about bromine. I am sorry. However, this explanation is going to be very simple. We talked about chlorine and how the chlorine works in the spa, right? We talked about the free chlorine and how it begins as free chlorine, and then when it goes to work and kills the bacteria, it changes to combined chlorine, right? We talked about that. Bromine works very much the same way. So this kit that I have here is a bromine kit, and it uses a couple of things inside of it. It uses bromine, It uses bromine in a cartridge, and it also uses minerals to help kill bacteria in your spa. And those fit in this little holder here. All right? So, this floats around in your hot tub and releases bromine to the water, and also has minerals. We're going to talk about the minerals next. So, the way that you use bromine is that you put a startup packet of sodium bromide in your water. So you put a startup packet of sodium bromide in the water, and then maintain it with the floater here with the bromine. Now, you don't have to use both. This is not, you don't use chlorine and bromine. You use one or the other. It's for your sanitizer. So you don't use both. So chlorine is probably the simplest one, but bromine is an alternative to that if you prefer to use that. So the bromine goes in a floater, and it has minerals. Now what the minerals do is the minerals kill bacteria in the water. Now, a lot of the hot tubs, you may have gotten one of these sent out with your spa. It's possible. If you did, what this is this is designed to help kill bacteria as well in your water. It works with your sanitizer. Now, if you read the back of it, you might think that that's all you have to do, is put this in there. But you really would need to use a sanitizer as well. But what this does is this actually goes in your filter compartment. It just goes, I'm glad you brought that up, because all spas are different, and all it needs to do is be wet in the water. That's all.
Wet in water?
That's all it has to do.
Okay.
So this can simply lay in the filter compartment. It doesn't have to go, on the picture it'll show it going up in the cartridge and all kinds of things.
Lay in the bottom of the spot?
It can lay in the bottom. Yeah, I probably wouldn't do that. I'd probably put it in the filter compartment.
I can't fit it in there and float it straight.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I could lay in the bottom. It's just you might have hit it with your feet.
Yeah.
But all it does, the only thing it does, it releases silver to the water that helps kill bacteria in the water. That's what it does. It's used so that your sanitizer doesn't have to work as hard. The great thing about using one of these is if your sanitizer goes down to nothing, I mean, if you end up being gone or it runs out of chlorine all the way, and you test your free chlorine, it says you have none, but you're using this, you probably have a little lag time before your water really starts to get cloudy and messy. All right? Because this is going to work with it. So every 4 months. This is good for 4 months. So if you have one of these, they're actually very smart to use, and you'll use one of these every 4 months. It just stays in the water. So that would be something I would put in. The other thing that I would do on a regular schedule, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of recap a way to take care of your hot tub. All right? So, first thing, you're going to test your water. And you're going to test the water at least once a week. Okay? So that's how you want to do that. Test the water once a week. And if you need to adjust a pH or a level, go ahead and add that product to it. Okay? And then probably check it the next day. All right? Then do a retest the next day. So you're going to do that. And then you're going to add your sanitizer, your chlorine. You're going to add that every time you get out of your hot tub, or at least 2 or 3 times a week. All right? And that's your sanitizer. And then you're going to do that based on usage of the spa. the more you use your spa, the more sanitizer you're going to go through. All right. However, there's still a minimum amount that you have to put in to keep your water clear, even if you never use it. Okay. So you're going to do that. Weekly, you're going to add your non-chlorine shock, and you're going to do that weekly. That's your oxidizer. That's going to get the waste out of your water. When you do that, you're going to leave your cover off for at least 15 minutes. You're going to let it breathe. You're not going to get in the water while you do that because it'll make you itchy and you don't like it. So you're going to do that weekly. Okay? You're going to add an enzyme to the water weekly. Spa Perfect. You put that in weekly. Don't put this in at the same time as you do your non-chlorine shock, because this will eat this up and it won't do you any good. Okay? So, but this is a weekly product. All right? You want to put in your scale preventer weekly. Remember earlier today we talked about the hardness of the water and how the calcium eventually will start to build up a grit and what have you inside the water. So you want to add your scale preventer weekly to that water. And generally you put a couple of ounces in. So about a ½ inch so a line of it in every week into your water. Okay?
Can you do that at the same time as your other weekly, or that's good?
Yeah, the only thing you want to do separately is this non-chlorine shock. So a great question. Question was, can I do my weekly scale preventer at the same time that I do my Spa Perfect and even some chlorine? And the answer is yes. All of those, none of those bother each other at all. It's just the non-chlorine shock. This oxidizer one, you want to do this by itself. So that's a great question. A day later is perfect, yeah, just as long as it's not the same day. Yeah. Okay, the metal remover is not really, I'm going to bring it out here because it's not the a weekly thing, but just do that when you, every time you drain and refill your hot tub, add a metal remover to the spa. And that's going to keep your spa from getting stained from the copper, the iron, or the magnesium that's in the water. Okay?
You do it before you drain it or after?
After, you'll do it to the fresh water that's in your spa. So after you drain and refill. The things that I would keep on hand as a preventative is going to be your foam down. Okay? I mean, if you have Bright and Clear handy, that's fine. But I would probably avoid using that because the Bright and Clear is going to fix something generally that you want to do a shock on the water to clear it up. But I mean, you could have it on hand. I wouldn't find it necessary for you to even use.
Can these chemicals be left in a box outside on the deck?
No, I wouldn't leave them so they freeze. So no, I wouldn't put them outside during the freezing cold. In the summertime, I guess that'd be fine. But if your garage is a place where things don't freeze, then that's okay. But I wouldn't put them in that place where they can freeze.
What about like the chlorine?
The granular products don't care, but the liquid products, I wouldn't put them out there. Yeah. And pretty much that's really, let me look back here. Yeah. So let's kind of do a recap and then on how basically you're going to maintain it. So, yes?
Suppose I'm going to go on vacation for 2 or 3 weeks in December, January, cold months.
Uh-huh.
What should I do? Prevent this sort of stuff when I get home? Should I put in new chemicals and not do it immediately?
During an extended...
What should I do for 2 or 3 weeks vacation when I'm gone?
Yeah, so the question was, I'm going to go on vacation. And you get that from time to time. Let's say you're going to be gone, and I'll address that, but let's say you're going to be gone a week. All right? A week is probably about the tops as far as if you want to leave it unattended. Because anything past a week, your sanitizer will have run out. I've had people buy those little floaters and put chlorine in it, and that might last you a little longer, but it's going to dissolve very quickly, and it's going to end up with this whole gassing thing underneath your cover, and it's probably going to be hard on the spa doing that. Okay? So if you're going to be gone any longer than a week, and you absolutely have nobody that's going to come over to your house, right? No one can come over and add product to it, then I'd probably drain your spa. You just want to drain it. Because if you're going to be gone for that long, and then you just need to drain it, That way you have nothing to worry about, and then when you come back, just go ahead and do a refill on it. So if you have someone that can come over and see to the spa, then I'd probably have them come over at least once a week. And once a week, they could go ahead and add product to it. You'll be fine by the time you come back. Your spa, let's pretend for just a minute we have some bad storm happen that the electricity goes off at your house, and it's off for a few days. More than likely, your spa is going to be unaffected by that, all right? The insulation factors and everything around that, your spa is going to keep temperature for a long time. So if you maintain your spa at 100 degrees, you're going to lose temperature, but the likelihood after 2 or 3 days of it getting and freezing is going to be rare. I mean, rare to unusual. It's generally not going to happen. What you want to do if ever that happens is leave the cover on your hot tub. Avoid opening it up, all right? Because it's like an oven. If you're cooking, you know what I'm talking about. As soon as you open that oven up, you lose a lot of the heat that's in there. So I would avoid opening the cover and leave it. If you have to put a thermometer in there to check the water, fine. However, I would avoid doing that. But your spa is going to maintain itself. Well, no. The spa is going to hold that temperature for a long time before you have any risk at all of anything freezing up. So, but vacations, I would have someone check it at least once a week. If you're going to be gone anything longer than that, you'd probably be smarter just to have peace of mind. It doesn't cost anything to fill the spa up. It really, money-wise, it's nothing. So draining it down, having peace of mind, and knowing that everything's going to be fine, and filling it up when you come back is what I would do. What else? It's a great question. So I've drained my hot tub down. I'm getting ready to fill it back up. What should I use on the spa? Is there any product I should clean the inside with? I would avoid using any type of detergent products at all. And I wish I would have gathered something up and had it over here to answer that with. There is a product over on the shelf called Clean and Perfect. It's called Clean and Perfect. It is an enzyme cleaner that does not have any soap in it. And I use it at home. It's a nice cleaner. You can spritz it with that and wipe it down. Truth of it is, you could probably just wipe it down with a cloth. You probably don't need to use anything on it. But if you ended up with a line at the surface of the spa, that product, Clean and Perfect, is a good one. They make citrus scrubs and all those things that are over there by the spa cleaner, but I favor the Clean and Perfect. It's on the shelf over there. So it's a great question. Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, that'll clean it up fine. Yeah. Great question. So yes.
Purge won't take care of any of that?
Purge is really, when you do a drain on it, that will probably leave kind of a gunky line, yeah, because of what it got out of the plumbing. So wiping that off is, yeah, it's probably something. That's a good point. Good. What else? Yes.
Talk of the spa covers. Was this Marshall or something like that?
There are, this season, we, some of the spa one of the spa manufacturers introduced a cover that was fabric. It's not a vinyl cover. So if you have a vinyl cover, an Armor All product or a cover conditioner would be recommended, yes, for the vinyl. If your spa cover is fabric, then you don't need to do anything like that. Nothing. Just keep it clean, wipe it off with a damp cloth. Good question. Yes?
When you're talking about draining, obviously, I assume you're talking about complete drain. Is there ever a time where you could do partial water replacement, or would you just do it full?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I've got my hot tub, and you drain it once in a while to go ahead and refill and that type of thing. But should I ever, at any point, have to do a partial drain? Would it be necessary for me to drain down and add fresh water? Only a couple of times. I had someone mistakenly add the bottle of granular chlorine to their spa. Not right, the bottle of granular chlorine to their spa. So yes, if you were to mistakenly add product that you shouldn't have, more than you should, then draining it, adding fresh water to compensate and balance it would be a time, yes. And so, but it would be unusual. Generally, you'll just do a drain and refill, but there are times, just as in a pool, sometimes that conditioner or cyanuric acid level gets so high that the only way you can correct it is by draining water halfway down and adding fresh water that doesn't have it in there. But it's, on a hot tub, probably not common at all. Good. What else?
I haven't looked at what's in our kit. We live in Troy.
Yeah.
What can we go home with today?
That's you know what, a smart. And again, I'm not trying to sell you anything today, but I will share good information with you. As you know, or you may not know, all of you here today get 20% off on your spa chemical purchases. So if you didn't know that, I've got great news for you. You save 20%. And truth of it is, spa chemicals don't go on sale. We don't have, the only people that benefit from that is you, people that have to listen to me for an hour. All right? We have to give them something at any rate. So yeah, you get a 20% off. So to answer your question directly, what products should I, or would it make sense for me to get today? Well, one of the products is simply going to be test strips, because what we send out, when I say we, what comes out frequently in those kits are just samples. And those samples might only have a few test strips in them. So test strips, I think, would be a smart thing to get while you're here today. The other things would be this Spa Perfect. This is expensive a product here. This is a 26.99, I think is what it says. At any rate, so that's a lot of money. So I would use it for that. This product here, this granular. Now, granular, we also sell in a 4-pound tub on the end of the shelf. This is something you're going to use regularly. So you can buy it in a smaller container if you wanted to, but you can save money by buying it off of the end cap in a little white tub. It has 4 pounds. So I think that would be a smart thing. That's chlorine. It's granular chlorine. The other thing that's also sold that same way is the non-chlorine shock. The non-chlorine shock is sold in that white tub on the end of the aisle, and it will save you money. Plus, you get 20% off on that. All right. The scale preventer is also something. It's not sold any other way but in these little containers. But that's going to be something that you're going to use weekly. And so I would purchase that, 2 or 3 of those, and save some money. The Filter Frog, you could buy one, but they last you 4 months. And so, unless you don't plan on coming back for 4 months, at any rate, but we'd love to have you. Oh, and incidentally, you can set in and listen to me talk about this every month if you wanted to. I don't think anyone does, but I do see some faces, not really. Anyway, but once a month, the first Saturday, I do this class. And you can come and simply sit and listen to me and take advantage of the discounts if you wanted to. But I do have some people that come every once in a while just to get a refresher. But at any rate,
11:30.
We don't have an 11:30 show.
No, just at the end of the
I think, yeah. Right. Yeah, just having to show up. Yeah, nice. Let's see. I think really, those were the things that I think. This alkalinity, I don't know, guys. Really, I mean, I don't. The water varies. If you ask my opinion of it, I'd go ahead and buy it and then return it if you don't need it. But unless you know, if you haven't tested your water, some of the water, if there's anyone that fills from well water, does anyone here fill with well water? No? You do? Well water typically has high alkalinity. So I don't think you're going to need this. All right? You probably will not need this. You are probably going to need pH minus and a lot of it to get the alkalinity level down to normal. So if I was you here today, I would buy a container of pH minus, because you're probably going to need it because of the well water. The other water out there going through the treatment centers comes out pretty close to okay. So you may need a little bit or not. So to tell you, it'd be a mistake, because I honestly don't know. Even though I see water all the time, most of it's pretty close. You might need a little bit of product, but not a lot. So anyway, you guys have been awesome. All of the staff here have been trained in water care. So if there's anything or any time you have a question, just give us a call on the phone. We'd be happy to help you. So, all right?